Hello, welcome everyone to our latest edition of The Secret Life of Rabbis. I'm here with Rabbi Chapper, of course, Senior Rabbi of Bourne Wood and Elstree Synagogue. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Rabbi.
And a well done on your continued brilliant programming and just general things that are happening in Bourne Wood.
Thank you.
The catalyst for the great Jewish move into Bourne Wood, no doubt. Let me just start with background, if that's okay.
Sure.
Your background and what made you, why did you decide to become a rabbi?
Okay, that's a good question. Thank you. So really to inspire other people to discover that Judaism is meaningful and relevant to their lives. I felt very strongly that people have a lot of misconceptions about Judaism and about living a religious life. And I felt that I wanted to be able to correct those and dispel those. So people should see that Judaism isn't restrictive, but in fact it's life affirming and it's meaningful. And also to alter some false perceptions that you see a lot of people have about Judaism. Unfortunately, a lot of people have been turned off Judaism because they may have had one negative experience when they were younger, or something the rabbi never called them, or one tiny little thing, someone didn't do something that they thought they should have done, and that they washed their hands of Judaism for the rest of their lives. And I wanted to be able to, being a rabbi and teaching about Judaism, to show that don't judge Judaism by Jews. Judaism is perfect. Jews are imperfect. The system is not necessarily perfect, but the idea, the concept is perfect. And to be able to, for people to see that and see beyond sometimes those misconceptions they may have built up.
Beautiful. Can we move on to personal experiences? That's
Sure.
okay. Do you have a most or standout meaningful moment?
Yeah. So again, as a rabbi, it's when you connect with people, when you have seen somebody grow among themselves, that they've been inspired to take on more, make more commitment, and learn more. Two particularly stand out. I mean, Jews we never buy retail, we buy wholesale. So I have two moments. There was one where my wife and I, Eva, were involved in a women's Bat Chayil program for mature women, for women who never had a Bat Chayil. We came across a lot of people in our community, and previous community as well, who, when their daughters came to have their bat mitzvah or their bat chayil, they said, we never had this. And this is wonderful. We wish we had this. And it got me thinking, said, well, let's do it. And we had a group of about 20 women who met on a regular basis. My wife taught some of the lessons, I taught some of the lessons. And they learned for about a year together.
Wow.
And it was very, very moving. At the end of it, we had a bat chayil ceremony for them. And they each spoke about their experiences and how it moved them. And they wrote about it. And it was very, very, very moving and powerful. And a similar idea connected to that, there was also an idea I had, was for Shavuot, was to put together a book of Divrei Torah written exclusively by women. And I particularly picked and asked women who'd never written a Dvar Torah in their life before. And we had 54 people writing, one for each parsha in the Torah.
Beautiful.
And we published this book called Torah Simecha. And it
Beautiful.
really, for me, it was a very, very powerful thing to get people involved in learning and seeing that they can discover meaning in it in themselves.
Great, beautiful. I guess normally at this point we ask your most embarrassing moment, but I just want to segue just very briefly. Role of a rabbi first. If you could name it, what do you think the most important role of a rabbi is? And it's probably a difficult question to ask because there's just so many badges, so to speak, or hats a rabbi needs to wear.
Yeah, I think it's very simple, actually. I think it's about kesher. It's about making connection with people. That you can't, however inspired you are to change people's lives and teach people and show them beauty of Judaism, if you don't make a connection with them and kesher nafshi, if you don't make a really meaningful, deep relationship with that person where they trust you and you're a friend to them and it really means something to them, then you have no chance of making any impact on people. So that's where it starts. I think for me, it's really about making a connection with people. That's the most important thing a rabbi can do. That's the first thing. I think the second thing is about being Mekadosh Shemayim, about making Kiddush Hashem. That we as rabbis, we have a responsibility to behave in a way that people see, if that's the standard of a religious person, that's something I admire, that's something I aspire to. May not necessarily be for them, but that you treat everybody with respect, being non-judgmental, and then being there for people. That's really the most important thing. That you can give the most phenomenal shirim and droshes. Some people remember them, some people don't. But if you're there for a person when they really need you, they remember that. And it's about that. And there's people, I've made Kesher with because I was there for them at the time they really critically needed it. And you carry on carrying them as well. It's not just a one-off. That's really where it starts.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Am I allowed to ask for an embarrassing moment?
Again, there are so many. In the last year, Zoom has been just like this rich vein, using sort of amazing. I'm sure you've had the same experience.
Yeah.
I think it's taken us a year to work out to unmute ourselves before we start speaking. And then, everyone's saying about, when we get back to face-to-face meetings, we'll be starting off by saying, "Can you hear me?" Even when we're face-to-face. I tell you two funny stories on Zoom, and they're always happening when, unfortunately, I'm doing shivers on Zoom.
Oh, right.
There was one where there's a whole family sitting together. They lost a relative, obviously, and they're very, very sad, obviously. And I was giving this hesped, and I was building up to the climax of how I was speaking about this person. And all you could hear in the background, this elderly couple arguing about, "Don't press that button, you're unmuting me, no, you're muting you," and they're just arguing. And I was trying to keep a straight face. I had to stop 3 times. But the family themselves were sticking themselves laughing. Everyone just thought it was so funny. And I'm trying to be serious and talk about this person in this way. So that's the thing. The power of that mute button is something I don't ever want to relinquish the power of in the future. I also had one where I was throughout the shiver. All I could focus on was a picture of this person asleep in the passenger seat of a car. They did not move for the whole of the shiver, and I was actually worried that perhaps they'd passed away during the shiver itself. Until right at the end, they woke up. I was like, "Oh, Hashem, this person was woken up." And then there was perhaps my first most embarrassing moment ever was, again, a life cycle event. Was I was doing the first Lavoy I ever did. And I actually got the name of the deceased person's name wrong.
Ouch. And
I did that twice. I did that the first one and the second time. And I made sure the third time, obviously, if I did it the third time, I thought it was a Kazakh, I'm always going to get the name wrong. That was quite embarrassing, obviously. Wow. And then I'm not sure I should tell you this story, but again, it's another shiver story. This is in real life. This was a shiver. I went to this house, a beautiful, beautiful house. I came in, and it was high ceilings and wooden floors, and they'd done everything right. They'd covered over the mirrors and the shining surfaces and the TV. But on the wall, so we were facing this way, on the wall on the side wall was this huge life-size painting of the back of a naked woman.
Oh, really?
I kid you not.
Wow.
I kid you not. And I was thinking to myself, can no one else see it except for me? Like, they didn't notice it. They didn't think it was something maybe they should have covered over. And, I just didn't know what to do. Thankfully, we were facing, it was at the side, so we weren't actually facing towards it, but that was fairly embarrassing.
Wow. Gosh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay. Just moving on, I could just see time ticking away. I've got probably 1.5. Well, we'll put them into one last question, right. Which is the changing role of the rabbi. If you had to identify the main way that a role of rabbi has changed. And then part of that answer, if possible, loaded question, but do you feel that rabbis are undervalued at all?
Wow. This is being recorded, right? How has it changed? I mean, I'm too young to see how it's changed. I haven't been in it long enough to know. I mean, 20 years is nothing to be in the rabbinate, but look, I think the role is much more multifaceted today. You have to be, I think people expect, particularly in the communal rabbinate, people expect you to be good all-rounders. You have to be able to give good droshes and shiurim and be good pastorally and be good. You have to, there's that old story about, the rabbi has to spend all his time with the young people, but be great with older people, and all those things. And so people expect you to be everything to all people. And it's sometimes quite challenging when, everyone has their strengths and everyone has their weaknesses. So it's trying to be that all-rounder. I think the pastoral side has grown a lot. I think we're dealing a lot more with mental health issues, things that probably we were never really trained to do, but now we have to, really be aware of those sort of things. But fundamentally, coming back to what we said earlier, it's fundamentally the same, really. It's about people. It's about making connections with people. And then to your final point about, we run out of time, so then I don't have to answer that bit. But I think it's difficult because I think, if you're a top-class footballer, not I'm saying I am, if you're a brain surgeon, people don't really understand. They think they know what that involves. but no one really knows what that involves. And I think in communal work as well, people don't necessarily know what you do as a rabbi. You think, you sleep from one Shabbos morning to the next Shabbos morning. You don't do anything in between. You just rock up there on a Shabbos morning and say whatever comes off the top of your head. But Shabbos is just 1/7. I would say Shabbos is only 1/7 of the Jewish week, and we pack so much into the rest of it. So it's about whether undervalued, I don't think it's right, because there are plenty of people say, oh, you work so hard. I said, but a lot of people work very hard. Everyone's working hard. I think it's the fact that people don't necessarily understand what is it, but that's with everything, I think.
Beautiful, Rabbi Chapper. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Rabbi.
And looking forward to hearing many more continued successes and wonderful things coming out from Bournemouth.
Likewise from you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.